Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amira and thank you so much for being here. If you're new here, welcome. I would love to have you join this growing community of mine. So please like this video, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. So let's go ahead and get into it immediately. We're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is building wealth, saving money, and creating financial independence and financial freedom. So we're going to talk about all those money habits that are keeping you broke, and a lot of the things that I learned in my 20s, a lot of the things that I implemented in my 20s that really allowed me to get to where I am now. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So let's first talk about your credit score. Your credit score is low because you're maxing out credit cards, you're carrying a balance into the next month, and you're not paying off those cards. To be completely transparent, my credit score has never been lower than like a 760. I was taught some really good habits when I was younger, and I've just continued those habits, to be honest. So I'm here to tell you what I have done so that you can also do the same for yourself. So I've always had some type of credit card, right? I think there's a little bit of a taboo topic, like credit cards are bad, don't get credit cards. No, I'm not going to tell you that. Credit cards are not bad. There's plenty of cards that actually have a lot of great value. The problem is when you use those credit cards, you max out those credit cards thinking that you can afford it, and then you can't, and you carry a balance into the next month, and you continue to do that. That is the problem. So ultimately, the problem is really like a lack of discipline. You have to have self-discipline with yourself. You have to pay off those balances every month, because every time you carry a balance into the next month and you have interest, essentially all you're doing is paying more money for the item that you wanted. So what I have done is I'll buy something with the credit card, I'll pay off that credit card, and I'll continue to do that. Now, for those higher ticket items, maybe you don't want to splurge fully, like let's say your MacBook, right? That's a thousand, a couple grand. You might not want to pay that off immediately. What I do is I'll find those 0% interest cards that are available. And a lot of times they give you 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 12 months, 15 months, it depends. They have balance transfer fees that are 0% APR out there, and you can also buy those higher priced items and pay them off in monthly increments. Let's say you have $4,000 on a credit card that you need to pay off. This is what you're going to do. You're going to go look for another credit card that has a 0% balance transfer for X amount of months. Let's say it's 12 months, and you're going to divide 4,000 by 12, and whatever that number comes to, you're going to pay that monthly amount so that you can pay off that credit card. You have been paying off that credit card with no interest, and it will be paid off by the end of the year. Now, you cannot continue to rack up those credit cards. The point is to try to get out of debt. So a lot of times we are maxing out our credit cards, buying things that we can't afford, and also trying to impress people who honestly, they do not care. So you have to get some discipline with yourself, live a little below your means, and stop maxing out those credit cards, and use this technique to pay off the credit card balances that you already have, and that will help you reach that financial freedom a little sooner by getting out of debt. So you're going to use these techniques so that you can get your credit score up and get out of debt. These are the same techniques that I have used to pay off some of those balances, and these are the same techniques that have really helped me maintain a really good credit score. And you can do the same. Even if you're starting from a lower credit score, use these techniques, and I believe that you can really bring your credit score up and you'll free yourself up from all that debt, which creates a peace of mind and a little bit of a reassurance because you have practiced discipline with yourself, and that is worth something. Okay, so next we're going to talk about some of your biggest expenses. For most people, it's your living expenses and it's your car. So let's talk about your car first. So in college, I had a 2009 Honda Civic that I received from my parents, and I still have that car to this day. It's been, wow, I think I've had that car for over 10 years. It's the Honda Civic, like I said, so we know Hondas are always really good cars as long as you do all the maintenance that's required to keep them up. It has really given me very minimal problems. So I could have afforded to upgrade that car a long time ago. But I get a lot of satisfaction out of having a stacked bank account for one. Two, I really don't necessarily like having a car note. Just an added expense, and my car gets me from point A to point B very fine. And honestly, upgrading my car would have been an ego driven decision, not really a logical one. So I decided keep the car, it works, save that money instead of paying like a $400, $500 car note. I can save and invest that money, and I can end up buying cash. I can end up paying cash for the car that I want later. It's just those tiny sacrifices now that you have to make for the greater good. So that's your car. If you have an older car, you really want to upgrade your car, but your car gets you around fine, it's safe, just keep the car and pay off those credit cards that you have, pay off some of that debt. If you don't have debt, use that money towards savings and investing and get the car that you really want later when you really can afford it. Because something that we have to remember is that when we get those luxury cars, they come with luxury maintenance costs. And if you can't afford the car note, the insurance, and the maintenance that comes with it, you can't afford that car. So stick to the little car that you have and keep stacking your money, and you will be able to get the car that you really want later when you can afford it. The next big ticket item that we all have to usually spend is on our home. So we're not going to really get into buying a home. We'll talk about renting because a lot of times if we're in the early 20s, unless we got a lot of money from our parents or inherited something, a lot of times we have to rent when we first start. So try to avoid getting that super luxury penthouse apartment. You got to start somewhere and you got to start within your means. And sometimes you just have to be a little, you kind of have to just be willing to live below your means a little bit. And that means that you might not get that dream apartment now. You might not get it in a few years, but what you will have is savings and money to invest. And you can buy the home or you can get that dream apartment, the same concept as a car, you can get it later. It's some small sacrifices in the beginning that will pay in the long run. There's a lot of techniques that you can use to even get rid of that cost altogether. You can use Turo on your car. That's actually what we do with our Tesla. So our Tesla, we don't even pay for it. Um, we have some friends that actually do house hacking. So you buy a house, you rent out the rooms to other people, the other people pay your mortgage, and that's another way that we've seen people gain tremendous financial independence because you're freeing up one of your biggest expenses. So that's something I'm still open to. If we buy a house, have a basement, rent the basement out, that pays towards your mortgage. It's a win-win. If you're willing to make those sacrifices, it pays in the long run, and it's just that long-term thinking that will get you ahead. So try to get those expenses down to as small as you can, or use some of the techniques that I've just shared to get rid of that cost completely. But whatever you do, try to avoid that lifestyle creep, that tendency to make more money, spend more money, because it's not always about how much money you make, it's about how much money you spend. So really watch your spending. and you will gain that financial independence sooner than you think. Okay, so number three, let's talk about something else that we're all doing that's keeping us behind. We're eating out way too much. We gotta stop eating out so much. I mean, trust me, I love Chipotle burritos. I love Chick-fil-A. Like, food is bomb. I get it. But you cannot eat that food every day for lunch. That money is adding up, and it's not really the healthiest option. So what I like to do, I was a flight attendant, so trust me, I get the whole on the go. It'd be really hard to pack your lunch every week. Like, I get it. I had ice packs, I had a lunch bag, I was bringing food from home, and you just got to make those sacrifices. It's totally worth it. And treat yourself maybe once a week. You can go out to eat, but don't go out to eat every day. That $15 lunch, it adds up. That $6 Starbucks, sugary Starbucks drink, you do not need that every day. I have a French press. I make my own coffee. I've made my own food. I've been there, and trust me, you will save a lot of money if you just cook food. And sometimes meal prepping can be a little overwhelming. I'm not even gonna lie, I'm with you. What I've done and what I do now as a flight instructor sometimes is I will take our leftovers from dinner, whatever we didn't finish, turn that into lunch for the next day, and I continue that cycle. Because sometimes, meal prepping can be kind of time consuming, but whatever it is, whatever technique works for you, stop eating out so much. Start cooking your food, start bringing your food. It's a healthier option, and you'll save a lot of money. And when I say save a lot of money, I mean you're saving money so that you can invest it towards a better future for yourself. So once again, long-term thinking is the goal here. Next thing that we're going to talk about that you're doing that you got to stop doing is paying yourself last. So there's a book that I read years ago called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And one of the things that he talks about is paying yourself first. So as soon as you get your paycheck, you need to pay yourself first. Put whatever percentage you can afford towards your savings. Put whatever percentage you can towards your investments. But you got to do that first. This is what happens. You have your paycheck, you pay your rent or your mortgage, you pay for your car, your insurance, your phone. Johnny needs some new soccer shoes. Hallie needs some new ballet shoes. And you eat out a few times, you go grab some drinks with your girlfriends, and now all your money's gone. You haven't saved a dime. You got to put money towards your savings and investment, and then you have to put money towards your savings and your investments first. Then pay your bills, then buy Johnny his shoes, then buy Susie I think the name was Hallie, then buy Hallie the ballet shoes, whatever. But now you've already prioritized saving, and then whatever is left goes towards your necessities and the other things that you want to do. That's how you will get ahead. You have to put that money towards your savings first. Prioritize paying yourself first, and it will make a tremendous difference in your savings. And I mean, do whatever you can on a consistent basis. So if it's 5%, if it's 20%, do whatever you can that you can consistently commit to and pay yourself first so that you can stack your savings. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to talk about, you got to start investing sooner. You got to start it. I got started on mutual funds kind of early, like college. Not a lot of money, but I was doing what I could. That was the first exposure I had to investing. Now I take advantage of index funds. Index funds, you're essentially investing in some of the top Fortune 500 companies, so it's a relatively safe investment. And all I do is I commit to a certain amount, a certain percentage that I put towards that index fund every month, and I do not look at it. Sometimes when you see what your investments are, you start to mentally start spending that money. So I kind of check on my account balances here and there because I have the discipline to be able to do that. But if you're a person that likes to spend that money, save it, put it away, don't look at it, forget it even exists, get it on an auto recurring deposit from your account. And at the end of the year, check it out. You will have a lot of money saved, and you literally just kind of set it and put it to the side. And that's the key that's going to get you ahead, is start investing sooner. Start doing your research on safe ways to invest your money. And if you have a little bit more stacked up now, you can get in a little bit more risky territory. You can start investing in individual stocks and real estate, and all of those things can come later. But right now, we're just trying to help you get out of debt and start saving and start investing. So start with mutual funds, start with index funds, and then work from there. Now, something else that I've noticed that people do in their 20s is they kind of don't think about the retirement stuff because, okay, you got like 40 plus years where you can even touch that money. Why would I put it away? You're thinking long-term, people. Remember, long-term thinking. The sooner you start, the less you really have to do every year to get to the same amount. So I've noticed that a lot of people do not put money in their 401k. And if your company has a 401k match, that's essentially free money. So I don't understand why you wouldn't want to do that. If your company offers a 5% match, you put 5% in, they put 5% in, that is free money. Take the free money. It is towards your future self. You will thank yourself later. And just another note about saving money earlier. Read the book Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. It basically talks about those little steps that you can make that turn into those bigger results. So the sooner you start saving towards your retirement, the less you really have to do every year to get to that same goal, right? If you start at 40 years old, starting to invest for your future, you're going to have to invest a lot more money. If you start at 20, you're going to have to invest a less amount of money because you're doing it over a longer period of time. Start taking that 401k match, and once again, think more long term about it. It is free money. There's no reason to not take it. So the last thing we're going to talk about is not having an emergency fund. Okay, rainy day may come. You got to be prepared for it. You may get a flat tire on the way to work. On the way to work one time, my radiator cracked, and it turned into me needing an entire new engine. I know I talked about having a good car earlier in this video, but I didn't know what radiator cracked meant. I didn't know the signs of that. And I had just taken my car to the maintenance shop or whatever for a full inspection. 2 days later, my radiator cracks. Now I need a new engine. So yeah, I didn't really think I had any car problems because I had just gotten the car inspected. So that's another story. But my point is, I was driving to work. That happened. I needed a new engine, and I could afford to take care of it because I had an emergency fund. And you need to have an emergency fund as well. So what is your emergency fund? It's the amount of money that you need to have saved for all of your expenses. Your rent, your car, your insurance, your phone, all of the essentials that you need in order to survive, essentially, food, all of those things. Have that amount saved. Have 1 month emergency fund. Start there. Then work towards saving up for a 3-month emergency fund. Then work towards 6 months, and so on and so on. But what having an emergency fund does for you is it frees up the stress and the worry of, like, if something goes wrong, you can afford it. You have an emergency fund. That is what it's for. You pull from that when any of those unexpected expenses come up. Or you lose your job. Can you afford your lifestyle? If you have an emergency fund, you can do that. So once again, the big picture here is to think long term. Having a long-term vision will help you make these short-term sacrifices without taking an ego hit, okay? Driving the old car, living in a more humble apartment, having an emergency fund, paying off your credit card bills, telling people, no, I can't go, because you know that you want to start saving and start investing. Do all of these things that you're doing are for the bigger picture here. So we're going to get our credit score up. We're going to get those savings up. We're going to get that emergency fund up. We're going to start investing, and we're going to start leveling up. So a lot of these techniques that I just shared, I have implemented them in my own life. I did them all throughout my 20s, and it's really allowed me to experience some levels of financial freedom in my now that I'm 30. So please let me know any other techniques that you use in your day-to-day life in the comments below. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not already. I love you guys so much. I am so thankful to have each and every one of you here. Thank you for taking the time to watch my channel and comment and support me. And as always, this is just bye for now. I love you guys.